Okay, so what is all of this stuff? Well, obviously it's guns and big ass flamethrower in the back. A couple of cola bottle silencers from The Last of Us Part 2. Quick overview. I did a couple of trial runs, for example, like Joel's 9mm and Ellie's 9mm. But then I ended up finding better versions of those. El Diablo, I actually found a cheaper version. It was like maybe $15. But yeah, El Diablo. This is just a revolver. I'll talk about this a little bit more later. Tommy's rifle from The Last of Us Part 2. This is the one with the inverted barrel and gas tube. Did a couple more things on this. Again, I'll get to it in time. This is Ellie's rifle from The Last of Us Part 2, or a reasonably accurate representation of Ellie's rifle from The Last of Us Part 1, Part 2. Part 2, yeah. Part 2. I don't have enough room on the table. Yeah. And lastly, we got Flamethrower from The Last of Us, the first one. They changed it a little on the re-release of The Last of Us Part 1. But then again, they did that with a couple of other guns. They just throw you a curveball. You know, it's a little jarring, but whatever. Cola bottles I had to make, the labels, just because it's random cola. I don't think I saw anything that actually spelled out the rest of what the cola was, so we're just sticking with cola P. Obviously they use these as silencers in The Last of Us Part 2, so made a couple. I don't even remember the order that some of this stuff was completed in, so I guess we'll just start from here and then move over. So this is just a crappy old airsoft gun that I got on eBay, I think, for like $10. Functionality has been removed in favor of there's shit flaking off of it. That's how awesome it is. But yeah, this was just sort of a placeholder because I had planned to get this one, which is a better representation of it. Made some grooves and stuff like that, and for the most part it's just a non-functional former airsoft gun. Its replacement was this. This is a NE10, so that it's a little bit more realistic. I got a black version, and then the grips I just painted to be sort of brown. Not necessarily a wood grain, but it's at least brown, and I'm pretty sure it's modeled directly off of the 45 Defender from Uncharted. I mean, it looks exactly like it, and I'm pretty sure they just use the same model. The quick down and dirty review is it's not the best I've ever had. I had to file down the safety. This slide lock doesn't work all the time. You got to be real delicate with it, and on top of that, it doesn't stay locked back. For what it is and what it's gonna do for the rest of its life, namely sit on the stand and just be there, it's fine. Plus, it looks cool when you fiddle with it, you know, in the workbench scene. So yeah, this is Joel's gun. This is the first attempt at Ellie's gun from The Last of Us Part 2, the 9mm pistol. This was just a cheapo, I forget what they even call this. Yeah, it's kind of a mash agglomeration of a couple of different guns. The top slide from a Beretta and the bottom from a Smith & Wesson. Not as accurate. There's a pretty good shot showing with the cola bottle silencer on it, and it shows these 4 slits right here, and I figured since I can do it, may as well do it. A couple of things I filed off the frame safeties and filed down the little thing that was right here, and this is really funny. There's a cross section of a screw because I just filed it down, and it just so happened that I stopped when I was in the middle of filing down a screw. so that'll stay there forever. It's just a spring pistol. Still works. Works with the cola bottle silencer. By the way I did this is that it actually came with a silencer, and I just chopped that off and then heated up the lip of the bottle so that the tip of the silencer could go in, and then basically just put in a stick and then wrapped the rag around it, or at least the scraps of the rag and stuff, just so that it matched what you see in game and what's described in the game, which is just wrapping a rag inside of a plastic bottle, which apparently makes for a silencer. Okay. Yeah, the cola, that's what you see in the game, so that's what I went with. Same thing with the labels from the last one, as I just sort of MS painted it. It looks okay. I mean, it's believable. It doesn't shoot anything because it's being blocked. As a first attempt for Ellie's pistol, not bad, I'd say, but not great. The better version, the one that's in-game, is based off of like a Beretta, or at least, again, it's a version of a Beretta, but primarily it's mostly a Beretta. One of the things that I didn't want was the slide safety, so I went with a Taurus, and I found this, again, on eBay for like, I don't know, 20 bucks. It was originally clear, which was kind of cool. Then I went and I painted it silver, but one thing that I thought was cool about this, you can actually take the slide off of it. Pull the pin out, and then you can pull the slide off, which is how I was able to pull off some of the components, make the skeletonized hammer. Yeah, you don't see this very often with just the regular spring pistols. All the lettering, the Nicotera model 256, all that stuff is dry transfer decals. There's actually another one, I don't know if you can see it right here, that says read manual before use, and of course Nicotera, which is a reference to Greg Nicotero, the special effects artist. The one in the game actually has a logo a little bit higher up on the gun, and then there's a little lanyard hook right here that I didn't actually do. I tried to do it on this one, but it looks like crap, so let's not count that. I tried to make something here. It's just a Taurus logo. I filled it in with some resin and then kind of tried to carve it out into something, because it's like crossed arrows and stuff like that, and then N for the Nicotera. Yeah, you can't really see it, which is a good thing because it's pretty crappy. So we'll just pretend that maybe I didn't do that. This one was actually the prototype cola bottle silencer. I accidentally melted this one a little bit more than I needed to, which ended up actually being pretty cool, because then I just melted this part a little bit more, gave it a spritz of black paint to make it look like it was already fired through, because you can actually get multiple shots off of this thing in the game, which is amazing to me. But then I took like a 11mm threading from something that I had. It just so happened that it fit inside the muzzle so that you can, do the thing. The Revolver. This was just a cheapo dart gun that I got off of Amazon. It was literally like 20 bucks. It was white and blue, but strangely enough, it actually works pretty well once you paint it and stuff. It's pretty good representation. The trigger will rotate the cylinder. Again, it's a dart gun. It fires these little suction cup darts. It shoots these things. It also shoots these things, which, because of the overblown proportions, I kind of toyed with the idea of making a little tiny mustache and cowboy hat to put on this thing, and do a couple of versions for the Who Framed Roger Rabbit pistol, just because it's so huge. The cylinder, you can pop it out and stuff, and you can actually remove it entirely. One of the screw posts broke off on the inside, so I just wrapped some tape. I kind of like what they did with the new El Diablo from The Last of Us Part 1, is that they made the grips all falling apart and then it's taped together. I'll show you that when I get to it. But I thought that was a cool solution to go with on this one, so I kind of did that also. Otherwise, it's just a revolver. It's surprisingly not that bad. It weighs like maybe 2 or 3 ounces. If you look closely, you can see it says Smith & Wesson. I didn't really emphasize that at all, so because it's kind of dumb. So yeah, there's the Revolver. This was the first iteration of El Diablo. This is a wind gun, CO2. Actually got like 8 shots, and what's actually funny is how comically small the cylinder is compared to the other ones. This is actually the cylinder from the one that I just showed you, and then compare it to this, it's ridiculously small. But yeah, a couple of things I did with this is I made the barrel, whatever this part is right here, a wee bit bigger just so that it sells as a large, beefy, one-shot kill handgun. And then like The Last of Us Part 1 came out and threw me a curveball with just the general shape of it, which is fine. But again, this is a CO2 pistol so that you would put the CO2 canister in there. I carved all of this out to include the barrel. I honed out a little bit with the idea of maybe I'll put a blaster core in here, and then I realized that like I'm never going to be able to fit a blaster core, the batteries, the speaker, and switches in there. So about, I don't know, 75% of the way through, I was just like, I guess this is just going to be a click toy. So that's all I was going to be able to get out of this. This is actually a, I wonder if I can do this. Yeah. This is actually a real scope with a long eye relief. It actually works pretty well. It's a decent scope. I mean, decent enough that you can get for cheapo on Amazon. Whoa. You can see the crosshairs a little bit. But that long eye relief thing, that was something new that I just found out was a thing. And it's kind of fun to play with, just because you can actually hold it out at arm's length and still be able to use the scope, which, you know, you usually put your face up against it. Cool. Had to do a little bit of hacking and sanding and stuff and drilling just to get the Picatinny rail to sit nicely. Originally, it didn't fit at all, but we make it work. Barrel ports, that was just part of the gun that I really liked, so I held on to. One in the game doesn't have it, but I did it because I liked it, so El Diablo. Version 1. And then The Last of Us Part 1 came out, and it showed it to be like totally different cylinder, and the barrel that he swaps out ends up being this big square thing, and it's pretty cool looking, kind of a sci-fi look to it. And this scope actually came with the Revolver. I cut some of the stuff off. It still sits a little bit too high. It's very Star Warsy. It does actually open, it rotates and stuff, but the coolest bit about this is that when you pull the trigger, it actually makes noise. That's great. I mean, this weighs even less than the other Revolver. This is like maybe 2 ounces. There's literally nothing to this. But what's cool is that like they didn't actually glue any of the parts together. They just screw it together or press fit together. So it was really easy to disassemble these, paint them, and then put it back together. But again, this is all they do. The one in the game, actually, the tape that they use for the broken grip is like electrical tape. I wanted something that you could actually see a little bit better, so I just went with the athletic grip tape. Can't get enough of that. After attempt, El Diablo. Last was part 1. Okay, so I'm going to move the camera so that we can actually see the long guns a little bit better. So this is just a spring airsoft bolt action rifle. I think I got this off of Amazon. About as basic as you're gonna get. Carved in some of the grip and stuff on the pistol grip, handguard and stuff. Came as black, and then I just painted it to look like wood. This is the speaker hole because it's got a blaster core in it. The clip out, clip in aspect is actually tied to the bolt, so. The scope came from Amazon also. It wasn't much, like maybe 30, 40 bucks. The pins, those are just rivets that I glued in. Same thing with the other side. The magazine is glued in place. The magazine release is actually the aux button for the blaster core. It's a font that I made that just sort of plays off of the bolt action aspect of it, and I used Joel's famous line to make every shot count. I made it to be kind of a pain in the ass like a real bolt action rifle would be, so you get 1 shot, and that's it. If you want to pull the trigger again, you get nothing, so you gotta recycle. I also did one where it's got unlimited shots, and of course it being a blaster core and all.
You make every shot count.
I shot the hell out of that guy, huh?
You still remember how to kill, right?
Audio player. Audio player.
The butt pad can come off, and that's where I got the recharge port and access to the SD card. Otherwise, just painted to look like a Winchester, Remington, whatever they used in the game. So yeah, that's Ellie's rifle. Oh, and the safety is the power button, so off, on. This is Tommy's rifle from The Last of Us Part 2. This one's a little bit more intricate. This was an M14. That's what it's based off of, M14, Springfield M1. I did a lot more work on this one just because of having to switch the barrel and the gas tube. This was an interesting chore, but I got it to work, and it's on there solid, so you don't have to worry about it. Also had to relocate the front sight. It was originally right here, but I chopped it off and glued it right here, and then cleaned it up so that it looked like it's supposed to be there. Same thing with some of the other hardware bits and stuff. It wasn't originally supposed to fit together like this, but you kind of had to make it look like it was supposed to. The bolt handle was actually just a little finger trigger thing. The one in the game is a little bit more circular, so swap that out. This one is a blaster core also. There's no holes for the speaker to vent. It just sort of comes out where the bolt would come out. The speaker is actually in the pistol grip, and it just feeds sound up and stuff, but this whole area right here is pretty much open. I shortened the magazine down a little bit too. The one in the game shows to be a little bit shorter than a standard M14 magazine. Standard M14 is a lot longer. Again, I just chopped it down to make it look like it was shorter, like a 15 round instead of a 20 round. So kind of like with the bolt action rifle, the reload is tied to the magazine. There's a couple of pins in there. I don't know if you can see the pins right there. That's basically the switch. There's a little piece of aluminum right here, so that once both pins actually make contact with it, that's contact for the switch. This is a lot brighter just because it's got all that extra room inside the flash hider. It's just fiber optic, like side glow fiber optic inside there, so it's nice and bright. Looks even brighter on camera. I made specifically a Tommy font. That sound is actually pulled directly from the game when Tommy and Ellie are hunting the infected, and he's teaching her how to shoot. I really like that scene, so I basically just cut it up and made it into a sound font.
You still remember how to kill, right?
Bolt action is the aux button, so.
I shot the hell out of that guy, huh? Audio player.
You want to give it a whirl?
So this is the Tommy font where he's teaching Ellie how to shoot.
You want to give it a whirl? Got aim higher. Leave the bullet room to drop. There you go. You're natural.
Gotcha.
You're really getting it. Just take your time. No rush.
So yeah, I just pulled the sounds directly from the game just because I like that scene. I also got the gun sounds from the Ellie rifle on this as well.
I shot the hell out of that guy, huh?
I had to change the cocking sound again because it's not a bolt action, it's just semi-auto, so you gotta change the sounds a little. And also he's able to work in the full auto switch. The last little bit was the cheek pad here. That was a little bit of a chore trying to find it, but I did find what looks to be the exact same one that they got in the game, down to the color and like the detailing and stuff. I don't know what else to say other than the fact that it's pretty much the exact same one that's in the game, so yay, win. Tommy's rifle. And lastly, we got the Flamethrower from The Last of Us the First. Took a couple of liberties moving the controls around a little. The little handle right here on the game, it's supposed to be up here with the spigot thing. It just made sense to put it there because there was room for it. Basically just a rotary switch. This is actually using a Petit Crouton version 2. The main power is the spigot here. and that'll turn on the main LED, which is basically the fire, and the aux button, which triggers the lockup, is the brake handle here. So yeah, blah blah blah, lightsaber maker has to have everything light up, like blah blah. So anyway, just some 1-inch PVC, like clear PVC that I just wrapped with some polypropylene film and put a red orange in here, same thing with the red orange right here, and that's it. It's basically just a lightsaber blade. It actually projects light pretty well. And it's got this cool little flower star pattern. The beer can, or the Budweiser can, is actually the cover for an LED flame bulb that I didn't need anymore, so I basically just printed out a Budweiser label, slapped it on, and I almost said Bob's your uncle, but I'm starting to get sick of that phrase, but you know what I mean. The grip is just some padding with the athletic grip tape on it. The tank is a fabrication. It's a container for some alcohol wipes, and I just put a little dome top on it with like a resin mold. And then that's where the speaker is. It's a gigantic, loud speaker. All the electronics are sitting in the back here, which is just another jar. I think it came from like some acrylic paint or something. Recharge port is down at the end here. The rest of the body is just straight PVC. Like 1-inch PVC, couplers. The bike grip, I tried to get it as close to the one that I saw in the game as possible. Same thing with the brake handle. It's straight. A lot of brake handles are curvy and goofy looking, but I found a straight one. There's just a snap action switch in here. That's the trigger. And that's the flamethrower. I guess that pretty much wraps up my The Last of Us prop collection. I don't really have a conclusion speech that I wanted to say. That's pretty much all of my The Last of Us stuff. Okay, we'll see you around. So that, I just cracked it. I'm gonna take that off so I don't crack it even more. What was I talking about? For that? You're failing. By the way, the Flash on Clash still works, so. One last thing that I didn't show you on the new El Diablo is that there's no barrel hole. It's just flat. God, that thing sounds awesome.